Hey Travel Masters, what's up? It's me, Katasha. You should be here. Oh my God, I can't imagine it. It's unbelievable. Today I get to speak to leaders and businesswomen and men that are alumni for Columbia University. Can you imagine? Just 2 years ago, I used to have a story and a dream, and I knew I had a vision, and I had something to give. And now I have put this together, and now I can deliver it. And it was amazing. Just imagine you can be here. You're next, Columbia University. Come on.
So please welcome to the stage the test speaker for today for our evaluation contest, Katasha Jonas. Fair, Katasha Jonas.
Hi, Columbia. There was a time that I used to be so terrified of public speaking. As a matter of fact, we tend to avoid doing the very thing that we should do to be great and wonderful because of fear. Have you ever stopped doing something that you always wanted to do, afraid of being embarrassed after working so hard and still feeling incomplete? Well, that was me. When I was 7 years old, I was asked to speak on Easter at Salem Missionary Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York. Salem is the biggest church at the time, all the church that all the politicians used to come to. Well, election time. As a matter of fact, one day Miss Boyd looked at me and she said, Katasha, you've been a good girl today. You sat in one spot for 5 minutes. As a matter of fact, next Easter, I want you to speak. I looked at her thinking, is she sure she want me to speak, or is it a game? Is it a joke? Because no one ever noticed me in church because I never really looked like all the other girls. And so what happened? I shook my head. I was good. I didn't move from that seat for the rest of the day. I didn't know how to receive this. So I ran home and I started telling my mom, guess what? They picked me to speak about Easter. My mom looked at me, shocked, and then she hit it a little bit, and she shocked again. Okay, go in your room and get ready for dinner. I felt like I was in that room for hours. And she just never called me. And then finally, she said, Katasha, come out. So I came outside, and in front of the table, there was a big bowl of spaghetti and meatballs, which was my favorite meal. So I sat there, eating my spaghetti and meatballs. Everything was going everywhere, and I noticed she didn't say stop. She was in a maze. It was as if she wasn't even in the room. And then I started to play with the meatballs. And play with the meatballs, and she didn't stop me. So I just said, you know what? Maybe mom is just having a moment. So after I had my meal, she told me to wash up, go in your room, and you can play as long as you needed to. That never happens. I have a Caribbean mother. Playtime is 5 minutes, if you understand what I'm saying. And I was in my room playing with my Barbie dolls. I remember like it was yesterday, and she never came. So much so, I fell asleep on the bed with my Barbie dolls. Early in the morning, Katasha, I got up, stumbling out of the bed. The house is in pitch black, and she said, come, sit here. She had a paper just like that, this thick, with instructions of what I'm supposed to say for Easter. And I looked at her, Mom. She did, just start reading. And I knew it was for me because the lines were so wide that only someone at my age could read it. I started reading it over. And then when I got to school at 12 o'clock before lunch, 5 minutes before, she would call me up and I would go to the office. Katasha, your mom wants to speak to you. Yes, Mom, start reading. I start reading the paper over and over, and then after I was done, I hung up, I went to lunch. Went back to my classes at 3 o'clock. Mom was there. Car was parked and ready for me. Katasha, no time for play, come on. So I grabbed my bags and I'm getting down the steps of St. Mark's Day School. Got in the car and there was the paper again. She made copies so I couldn't lose it. Start reading. So I started reading the paper all the way home, and I did that for 2 weeks. And then the day came. It was Easter Sunday. I had my white pretty dress, my 2 ponytails, my teeth. Well, one was missing. And I just knew I was beautiful. I was ready. So we walked up to the church and everybody was telling me how good I look, and I was feeling wonderful and taking my pictures. And then it was the time. Katasha Janos, come tell us about Easter. I walked up, happy to get in front of the room, and oh my God, I started noticing that everybody was around there, and Miss Boyd was sitting right there, and she was going to recognize that I didn't do my homework because she trusted me. For the first time in my life, someone trusted me to do one thing, and I couldn't do it because my mom. So I sat there, and I put my head down, and I started reading so fast before I knew it was over, and when I stood up, everybody was crazy. They were so happy for me. But something happened to me. Something happened to me. I felt ashamed that I never had before because I know I didn't earn it. I didn't do what that one person trusted me to do. So I walked down to my seat. My mother stood there proud because everybody was going crazy, and I sat there the entire day. And I remember telling myself, I will never speak publicly again. Many years passed in my life, and then I became an adult. I opened up a child care centers. I was a landlord. I had so many success, but never get me to stand in front of a seat and speak. It's like little girl came back inside of me. The fear of rejection, of not saying the right words, not remembering my lines, or someone figuring out that I just wasn't prepared. It was then my life changed 2 years ago in Toastmasters. I walked into the room and I became quiet and I listened. And I learned that it was nothing wrong with my voice. I just wasn't taught how to speak. So right now, you guys, I want to give somebody an extra MBA. First thing you got to do is master your mindset. Know that you are good enough in everything you do. B, don't forget to mind your business. Focus on yourself so everybody else can focus on you. A, it's all about attitude. No one knows your feeling until you show them. Toastmasters, this is an opportunity to practice as hard as you can and be as great as you need to be. Thank you. So I've been a Toastmaster for 2 years, and right now I'm a part of 2 clubs, Gastronomy and Travel Masters. And right now, because I am doing something behind the scenes, I have to say both.
And so what goals do you have just for yourself right now?
Oh God, really? What goals do I have for myself? So I have a lot of goals. You have to understand I'm a high achiever, right? So when you say goals, I'm gonna narrow it to one thing when it comes to public speaking. I want to make sure that when I'm speaking, I can help someone. That's my goal. When I speak, it's not for me. It's for that one person that was like me to hear themselves. So that's the goal.
I believe you.
That's it? You ain't got nothing else? Ask me how I got so wonderful. I'll tell you.
One thing I actually remembered from...
Uh-huh.
One thing that I think particularly struck out for me in particular was the way you used MBA.
Okay.
Balancing your mindset, attitude. So how did you particularly come to that phrasing?
I was just trying to find some letters that go with some words that meant something. And because I'm such a high achiever, I understand how important MBA is. But after I realized that you can get the MBA and still be lost. There are some things that you have to fix within yourself. So public speaking, I know he didn't ask me. Public speaking is about knowing yourself and being comfortable with who you are and knowing you have something to give the world. Once you understand that, everything else is gravy. Next question.
So if you were given the opportunity to go back in time, let's say you were given the opportunity to change something, is there anything that you would change? And why would you do it?
That's a great question. I love that because that's the part of my speech that I didn't have time to talk about. If I had time, I would ask my mother, why wasn't I good enough? Why wasn't a little girl that was trying as hard as she was just good enough? And couldn't you just support me where I was and build me? It may take more time, but I'm worth it. I wish I could have done that. I didn't have the words.
I actually found Columbia Toastmasters on Google because I wanted to just channel the timing of my speeches. But I was telling Anna before you got here that everyone in this room has that same mindset. They have the education to be a multimillionaire.
Come on, because I am one.
Just being in speaking. You're a professional speaker. You can make tens of millions of dollars.
Okay.
Because you already have that education background. I never got to graduate from college.
Okay.
My parents were misfits when it came to parenting, but I always knew what my worth was. I sat in the office of the partner in the MetLife building, and he asked me, "What do you think you're worth?" And I looked at the picture behind him of the skyline of New York City. I said, "You see that picture behind you? That's what I think I'm worth." I used to have CEOs calling me like I owed them money, like, "When are you coming back?" And you know, this is the activity that you need to surround yourself. Don't surround yourself around broke people.
Come on.
Broke friends.
Come on.
Surround yourself around people who have made differences in people's lives.
My question is?
And my question to you is,
Yes.
what is that magic number monetarily
Oh, no.
that you have in your mind?
I'm not telling you. I'm not going to tell you because I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to tell you. I'm really big on vision boards. And I'm going to tell you why. I never really created one, but once I put my mind to something, I achieve it. 20 years ago, my goal was $50,000 a month. And I achieved it.
Thank you, Katasha, for that excellent speech today. The first thing that I really liked about Katasha's speech today was the excitement, was the energy in her voice. She had so much vocal variety when she was speaking on stage today. For example, when she opened with her message, she said, "Hi, Columbia." She was so excited. Or during that part where she said that she did it for 2 weeks, she was so excited in her voice, and it really came through in her message. It engaged the audience. That's the first thing that I really enjoyed about her speech today. The second thing that I really enjoyed about her speech today was the gesture, especially when she was pointing to her mom. You could see that her mom was always positioned on this side of the stage, and she pointed to her several times in her speech. It helped us picture it in our mind that the mom was over here on the stage. Great job on that, Katasha. The third thing that I really liked was the message, how she related to the audience. We're all here for public speaking. Her message today was about public speaking, and she ended with that message, MBA, referring to master mindset, mind your business, and attitude. That's a great memorable takeaway for our audience today.
First things that stood out was her strength, command of the stage, her strong stage presence. She did not stay still. She moved left to right, right to left, key eye contact, engaging, and then you pause. There was no rush. It was just assured confidence that was displayed. The area of opportunities that I would like to see definitely in your speech is in regard to is the opening, the middle, and the beginning. The opening is just to tease the crowd with the M, as far as talk about the mindset. In the middle, you can talk about the B in regards to the business of it. And then at the end, the attitude, and then you bring everything for MBA, for that hard punchline, dynamic. Because at the end of the day, when we all stand, and what I gathered from your speech, from Brooklyn, hello Brooklynite, gotta show the love, the reality is, what do you do when there's no crowd? When there's no mic, no camera? What are you doing to prepare for greatness, for your role? And your speech ignited those passions within me, as well as when I turned around occasionally, you held the audience attention and gaze. Well done.
Thank you.
Katasha, you delivered a reflective and emotive speech. You did some excellent things in the speech. First, you anchored your speech in an emotion, and that emotion was terror. You started your speech by saying, "There was a time when I used to be terrified." You said something relatable. Jerry Seinfeld, comedian, has this bit. He says that people's number one fear is public speaking. That means for the average person, they would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy. You exploited this reality, brought us in with something relatable, and made us think at the start, what is this story going to lead to? The other excellent thing that you did, Katasha, is you used vivid imagery. You brought us to church, election time. You brought us to Easter. You told us about your dress, your teeth. And you painted a picture of a younger version of yourself who's mortified by the thought of speaking on Easter Sunday. You used hand gestures, eye contact. There were moments during the speech where I felt like you were talking just to me. And I would imagine that others in the audience felt the same.
You got my attention right away. There was a time when I was afraid. And like many people who stepped in front of a stage, afraid of public speaking, one of the greatest fears. You talked about in this speech fear, embarrassment, and overcoming both. You started off with a personal story in the church where many people are going to get their first start, young people. Your story was relatable. And you threw in a couple of zingers. You were quite funny, actually. They only come during election times. I know about that. You had robust characters, mainly your mom. And you showed how a mother's love can help you get what you need. You showed her teaching and demonstrating skills critical to any public speaker. Read it again, read it again. And what she was teaching you was how to prepare. She gave you that skill, and I felt it in your energy. Then the moment of truth came. It's time to speak in front of that church. And you did it. And you excelled. But that story took a little bit of a turn because I thought this was it. But you still didn't feel like you had did what you had set out to do. And that shifted my thinking about the speech. I thought, I want to edge. Where is she going with this? You ended this speech by giving us some tips. Mind your own business, know your attitude. And you wrapped up the speech perfectly and quite eloquently. You were animated throughout the speech. You threw your characters in there. Fantastic. Well, I didn't know what to expect with KJ's speech. Before, I just thought it would be a typical speech on public speaking, and she took me on a journey. She told us the story of how her mother kind of encouraged her, her church, her community brought forth this speaker in her, and it was a fantastic speech. It was absolutely a great testament on family, on developing yourself and in self-improvement, and I look forward to hearing more speeches from KJ.
So what did you gain out of the speech?
Well, see, I've been to different contests, and one of the things that I always notice is women are killing it.
Really?
They beat men time and time again in the contest. And you just showed the new members, the newer guests, what it's like in the contest. You showed it in the purest form. What the other evaluators said to you, there were certain parts of each evaluator that you can take away from. But my honest opinion is this is why you're a speaker willing to come in. But I was just saying to the guy sitting next to me, Joe, I said, we've had people come to our group, because we used to have guests 20 deep, and they used to spill out into the hallway. This was before COVID. Now we're getting to that point, but we know that there are certain speakers every time. You said you had butterflies. Pretty sure you had butterflies this time too. And it's natural. Like whatever you did before, whatever formula works for you to prep your mindset, keep doing it. Because you already have sustainable habits. And so it's not like any of these evaluators know you. I actually see you. So I see everybody that's in the group. I already know their weaknesses because I spent my whole career being around a bunch of men. Giuliani hired me to be in charge of 1,600 men. So when I give advice, I'm giving them real world advice. I'm giving the women advice to how to manipulate around a man's world. And
I may need that one.
And I also, like I said, I mentor people at different points in their life. Like once you get to 6 figures, then I'll give you advice on the next step. How do you get to be the board member? How do you get to, like, we have one member in Singapore, she asked me how to address her senior managers. So she was giving her first speech. And I said, well, you approach it just like a regular icebreaker, but you're giving them a part of your personality, but you're also showing them, it's like, this is what I can offer to you. And that's how you approach interviews. You don't approach it like, I really need this job. You approach it that, this is how I solve your problem. You walk in, the same attitude you had in your speech, that's how you walk into a CEO or president or partner. You have that same attitude.
It's funny you're saying that, because that's exactly how I do when I speak. That's how I talk. So
Right.
I'm not really putting on a person. I'm just being myself.
Yeah.
And I realize who can receive it will, and who doesn't get it, don't get it. But it was so good. I'm so glad I came here. I got to see, listen to what people are saying.
Yeah, my name is Uche. Today we came to Columbia University. My friend Katasha gave a wonderful speech about the childhood experience that made her become successful in life. She gave a fantastic speech. That was excellent. We worked hard for this speech, and we're happy that she made it nicely. I'm so happy I see all the students in the Columbia University. This is my first time I'm coming to Columbia University. I wanted to come over here to study, but I didn't study, but now I see what Columbia University is. Thank you so much for being with us today. Wonderful. I am so happy to see her around and more around in the future, and I'll be working together with her, and she will be accompanying me to all my speeches, and I also will also accompany her to all her speeches. I'm available. By the way, I'm her backbone, and she also my backbone. And I, myself, I am working on kidney stories, about kidney stories. Very soon I'm going to be giving speeches on that, how kidney patients behave and all the symptoms they have. And that's, I've been working for it because I am also someone that is a survivor. So I have to be saying everything concerning about kidney. Many people do not take kidney very serious. I don't know why. Maybe they think that they'll never experience it. As long as you're living in life, you will experience one thing or other about your organs. But the one that likely people experience because there's no warning is kidney. Many people in America suffer kidney diseases. By the time they know, it's already late because there's no warning. And there's no treatment because they can treat it, but there's no cure. So what I tell you, by now, if you don't have kidney, the next thing you have to be doing, check your diet, do exercise, all those vital things that can help your health, because you don't want to be a victim in the future of kidney disease.
You should be here. You should be here. You should be here.